Welcome back to the All Sorts podcast. This is the place where we chase curiosity down every rabbit hole, trying to shed some light on the most fascinating subjects out there.
We really do try to just follow where the interesting stuff leads.
Exactly. And if you enjoy these deep dives, these explorations, please do support us. You can like, share, and subscribe to the All Sorts podcast on YouTube. It genuinely helps us make more of these.
Yeah, it really does. And don't forget, there's a whole backlog of topics we've covered if you want to explore more.
Oh, absolutely. Dive into the archive and stay in the loop with the All Sorts podcast on X, Instagram, and Threads, too. We share updates and bits and pieces there.
Good stuff. So what are we eliminating today?
Right. Okay. Today, we are stepping into, the really radiant world of Lachlan Turczan's immersive light art. It's where light isn't just light. It becomes almost sculptural, something you can interact with.
Mm-hmm. And what's so compelling about his work, I think, is how he uses light and, sometimes water, too, to create these experiences that you don't just see, you kind of feel.
Feel, exactly. It's not just passive viewing. It's about interaction, about maybe sparking a sense of wonder.
Yeah, it invites you in, definitely.
So we're going to unpack how he does that, how he blends these elements to engage people and make them think. Our main sources for this are an article on designboom.com.
Right, that covered his Lucida installation at Milan Design Week this year, 2025, and his cymatic watergrams, too.
Yep, same source for both. And we're also looking at a piece called Interactive Light Art, the illumination of art and technology merging to get a wider view of the whole field.
Which is important because Turczan's work, it definitely fits into this bigger trend in art right now,
Yeah.
Using less tangible stuff like light digital media.
Moving away from traditional materials.
Kind of, yeah. And often focusing more on the viewer's experience, making it more direct.
Okay, so let's start with the artist himself, Lachlan Turczan. He's an American artist known for this interplay between light and water.
Right. And Lucida is a great example of his recent work.
It was shown at Google's exhibition in Milan, wasn't it? Making the Invisible Visible. That was April 7th to 13th, 2025.
Yeah, at Garage 21. And it's interesting, isn't it, that Google hosted this really highlights that intersection of art and tech.
Definitely. And Lucida itself. Well, it's these glowing halo sculptures. They're interactive.
They have this real sense of lightness, almost weightless, like they're just hanging there, emitting this soft glow.
Yeah, really inviting. And he mentioned the inspiration came from an earlier series, Veil.
He described Veil as being like a curtain. His words were something transparent and delicate, a real object, but it feels almost unreal.
Ah, okay. So you can see that progression from transparency and maybe illusion towards these interactive light forms in Lucida.
Exactly. And even when water isn't like physically in the piece like Lucida, you still feel that connection to fluidity, to how light and water behave. It seems like a constant theme for him.
That makes sense. Which brings us nicely to his other really fascinating series, the cymatic watergrams.
Right, the watergrams. These are completely different visually, but still exploring that core fascination. Not so much physical interaction here, but capturing something hidden.
They look like alien landscapes or something, and they're made in a darkroom with vibrating water.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. He exposes photosensitive paper to patterns created by vibrating water. No camera.
Wow, cameraless prints. So the water itself is creating the image with light.
Basically, yes. As part of his resonance series. The term cymatic is all about wave patterns, how sound or vibration creates visual forms. So he's revealing these hidden patterns in water.
Okay, walk us through that a bit. How does he actually do it? It sounds incredibly precise.
It is. He shines light through the water as it's vibrating. The waves on the water's surface act like tiny shifting lenses.
Lenses, right. Focusing and bending the light based on the vibrations.
Exactly. Those light patterns then get recorded directly onto the photosensitive paper below.
So the vibrations are literally sculpting the light that makes the print.
You got it. And the level of control is key. He uses an incredibly fast exposure time, just 250 microseconds.
Wait, that's 1/4000th of a second.
Just to capture that perfect single instant of the water's oscillation, like freezing a moment of liquid motion.
That's mind-blowing precision. And the light angle matters too, I read.
Oh, absolutely. If the light comes in steep, you get sharper edges, more definition in the patterns.
Okay.
But if it's more oblique, from the side, the wave crests cast longer shadows, and that gives the print this amazing sense of depth, almost like a 3D landscape.
Wow. It's amazing how he uses basic physics to create something so evocative. It really
Yeah.
pushes the boundaries of what you think of as photography or printmaking.
Definitely. And that brings us back to that wider context,
Yeah.
interactive light art, because Lucida especially fits right into that category.
Right, so interactive light art, for anyone not familiar, what are we actually talking about?
Okay, so at its heart, it's art that uses light and technology. But the key thing is it's designed to create an experience that involves the viewer directly. The interaction is part of the art.
So you're not just a bystander, you're actually participating somehow.
Exactly. It often uses things like, LED lights, maybe projection mapping, and sensors.
Sensors, what kind of sensor?
Sensors that can detect people, their presence, maybe their movement, and then the artwork changes or responds in some way based on that input.
Okay, interesting. And where do you usually see this stuff? Just galleries?
Well, galleries and museums, sure, but increasingly you find it in public spaces, at festivals, big events. It's really moving beyond the traditional art world walls.
Making it more accessible, maybe?
I think so, yeah. People are drawn to art they can actually engage with, not just look at.
It feels like it breaks down that barrier between the art and the audience a bit.
Totally. It's blurring art and tech, creating these multi-sensory experiences. And as the tech gets better and cheaper, artists are doing more and more inventive things with it.
So the artist isn't just making an object, they're designing an encounter, almost.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, designing dynamic environments that react to people. It's a shift from a static piece to something that lives and breathes with the audience.
And Turczan's Lucida, with those responsive halos, is a perfect example of that invitation to participate. You affect the light.
Precisely. You become part of the loop. Even though the watergrams are different, more about contemplating these captured forces, Lucida is pure interactive light art.
So creating this kind of interactive work, what does that actually involve for the artist? What are the steps?
Well, it usually starts with the concept, right? The core artistic idea. What's the look, the feel, the kind of interaction the artist wants?
The initial vision.
Yeah. Then comes the design phase. This gets technical, figuring out the lights, where they go, how the interaction will work. They often use things like CAD software, run simulations.
Planning it all out, you can kind of see that precision needed, like in the watergrams, just applied differently.
Exactly. Then there's fabrication, actually building the thing, working with materials, electronics, lights.
The physical construction.
Right. And then, crucially for interactive stuff, integrating all the tech, the sensors, the controllers, the software that makes it all respond the way it's supposed to.
It's a real blend of art and engineering then.
Absolutely. A fascinating mix. And all that work goes towards creating the impact of this art form.
Okay, so let's talk about that impact. What makes interactive light art so significant or compelling?
Well, one huge aspect is just the immersion. You're often surrounded by light, maybe sound too, and it can really pull you in, blur the edges between you and the art.
Like stepping into another world for a moment.
Kind of, yeah. And doing that, it often makes you rethink, what art is, how you relate to the space you're in.
Challenges your perceptions.
Definitely. And because it's interactive, the experience is often quite personal. Your interaction makes it unique to you in that moment.
Right. It's not the same fixed experience for everyone.
Exactly. And this is all powered by advances in tech, better LEDs, smarter sensors, easier to use software. It just keeps evolving.
And you mentioned seeing it outside galleries, transforming public spaces.
Yeah, that's a big one. Imagine encountering something like this in a city square at night. It can completely change the feel of a familiar place, make it magical, draw people together.
Injecting wonder into the everyday.
Plus, artists are tapping into the basic psychological effects of light and color, how different kinds of light make us feel. It's quite powerful.
Right, that deep, almost primal connection we have to light.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's really clear that Lachlan Turczan's work offers a unique window into this world.
Yeah, his approach is really distinct. Capturing light and form, whether it's through those interactive Lucida halos or the incredibly detailed cymatic watergrams, it shows a real mastery of these elements.
And it really highlights how this kind of art, interactive light art, isn't just something you look at. It invites you, expects you almost, to participate.
It's a dialogue, isn't it? Between the art, the tech, and the viewer. A dynamic process, always changing.
Which leaves us with something to think about, maybe. Considering Turczan's work and this whole field, how is this blend of art and technology changing how we even define art or how we experience the spaces around us?
Yeah, think about it. Light isn't just for seeing by anymore. In the hands of artists like Turczan, it becomes the material itself, sculptural, interactive, constantly redefining what an artistic encounter can be. How does that shift our own perception?